And we are back for the final segment of Testosterone Fantasy Sports. Wishing you and yours a happy Halloween, guys. It's Halloween. There's always tricks and some treats out there for fantasy owners as well. But who's going to get tricked? Who's going to get the treats? Seattle at Cleveland.
Okay, I'm a big Cleveland believer. I think this is going to be a good game. Seattle at 4-3 has the same record as the Browns. So before, the Browns were always, which shade of turd, know. But now it's all of a sudden bronze. You know what I'm saying? The Cleveland. I don't know. Anyway, I like Braylon Edwards a lot, and I like the fact that Jamal Lewis is running the ball with a 5-yard average. That's showing that they're opening good holes for him. Romeo Crennel really has his team popping on all cylinders, and I think that it continues this week.
I like the way that Cleveland's played as well. I mean, obviously, I'm a Browns fan. I'm interested to see how well Matt Hasselbeck's going to be able to play this week against the Browns defense that got lit up a little bit by the Rams. And if Steven Jackson didn't go out, I think it would have been a different ballgame last week. So pick up whichever Seattle receiver is healthy at this point. Watch your injury reports to see who that's going to be, and Seattle should play well.
Yeah, it does appear that Deion Branch will probably be making his return. He had a couple games that he missed before their bye week. Now he's had some time to rest that injured foot of his. He should make a return to the lineup here, but I'm wondering if Sean Alexander is going to make a return to prominence. Where's Big Sean been, Jeff?
Well, he's been struggling. I wonder, we talked about the last couple of weeks, he hasn't been running with heart. And in the interest of the last few weeks and what we've been doing, we've got a new trend on the show, and that's that every couple of segments we return to the wonderfulness that is Adrian Peterson, baby. So what I think Sean Alexander needs to do is watch a little bit of tape of AP and remember what it's like to be a hungry ball player in the NFL.
Go back in time 10 years
and take a look at the tape and see how hard Adrian runs and start to run with that intensity and that fire, because realistically, the Browns aren't that great of a defense yet, and Alexander should get things going. So I want to see what he does. I think that he could be good. His ceiling, though, is going to be around 100 and a touchdown.
Arizona at Tampa Bay. The Bucs are a team that have really surprised some people this season. Jeff Garcia playing mistake-free ball until last week when he threw 3 interceptions. Really looked disheveled, but I think he might be about to get on track, Easty. Arizona coming to town. I like Tampa here.
I like the way that the Arizona defense has played. I think Jeff Garcia will struggle a little bit against them, so I disagree with you a little bit there. Ernest Graham kind of came back to earth a little bit last week, so if you were depending heavily on Ernest Graham, you're probably going to have to would expect what he got against Jacksonville as the norm, in my opinion. Arizona, Anquan Boldin had 8 catches for 29 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Redskins before their bye week a couple weeks ago. So, I'd like to see how Kurt Warner plays against this tough cover 2 defense. Are you asleep
Adrian
now?
Peterson?
Oh, seriously.
Adrian? Arizona coming off the bye, I think their defense is going to be ready, so I agree with you there. Tampa Bay lost a real tough game last week, and I know Garcia threw those interceptions, but all they needed to do, in my mind, was continue to use Ernest Graham. He's shown the propensity to get himself open out of the flat, and Garcia likes to check down. They went away from that a little bit too much last game, and I thought that because they took the running game on their own kind of out of effect, that they weren't able to get the ball into field goal range, and Matt Bryant's field goal range is 60 yards. So they really gave up one that they shouldn't have last week. So I think they're going to be up big for this game. To me, it's a toss-up who wins.
I agree on the Ernest Graham factor. 2 weeks ago against Detroit, he set a franchise record for most receptions in a game. Last week, he only had 1 catch. They need to get the ball in his hands. I mean, look, he's their only real threat out of the backfield. Yeah, they got Michael Bennett. He made 1 play last week. I'm still not a Michael Bennett believer, but I do think that Tampa will be able to control this game, although I think there are fantasy plays on both sides of the aisle. Carolina traveling to Tennessee. Now, Carolina is a team that really struggled last week after Vinny Testaverde went out at halftime. Vinny led his team on an 80-yard drive to begin the game. Steve Smith caught 2 passes on that drive. After that drive, Steve Smith, not a single catch for the rest of the game. In the locker room, going off on his coach. On the sideline, going off on David Carr. To me, it seems like this team is really teetering right now. Are they going to implode, Yeasty? Or what do you think is going to happen here?
David Carr is going to start, so they're going to implode. That's all I have to say. Let's move on to the next matchup.
The cardiac kitties mantle has now been placed over onto Carolina. They just don't seem to do much. Tennessee at 5-2 has a legitimate chance at the playoffs here. You see, I know that you shed light on Lindell White early. He's been lovingly known as the human ho-ho in our tough league.
Right.
The puffy little guy really totes the rock, and he's been doing great in the featured role.
And last week, Chris Henry makes an appearance. This was a guy we talked about a little bit in the preseason as potentially being a guy to watch out for. Didn't do much for the first 6 games. Last week, ripped off a 24-yard touchdown run. Kind of showing us a little bit of something there, so it'll be interesting to see if White continues to get the majority of the carries.
Read up on my article that's on the website right now as this show is airing, because I'll shed light on all those kinds of situations. But let's skip to the next matchup, but read my article that's up on the website.
Houston Texans traveling to Oakland, 2 teams that really suck in my opinion. Both played well early in the season, have kind of faded a little bit since that stretch, and right now Houston really thin at the running back position. They could be rolling this week with a Chidi Chadimandu.
Although I think he's a fairly good guy to pick up if he's a free agent in your league.
Shinobi Chandu.
I had a heavy dose of Houston over the course of the week, and I just got to take a second. Hang on.
Are you okay, Jeff? Are you okay?
Matt, I think it might be Matt. Excuse me.
Houston at Oakland. What's going to happen here, Yeast?
How can I follow that up?
You were a Houston supporter early in the season, but
I'm a Houston supporter still. When they're not dinged with injuries, I'm still a Houston supporter. Andre Johnson is out. Kevin Walter and Andre Davis have played well when Matt Schaub has been healthy. If he starts, play him with confidence against that Oakland secondary that's given up a lot of plays. If Sage Rosenfels plays, I still say start the receivers.
I like Kevin Walter as well.
Chimichanga, I don't know about because we'll see how he plays, but he would be decent because everybody's played well in that offense so far.
The other question here at running back outside of Achidi Chani Chandu is what's happening in Oakland's backfield. Last week, 13 carries going to Lamont Jordan, 13 carries going to Justin Fargas. Lamont Jordan produced about 50 yards less on those 13 carries than did Fargas. I'm wondering, Jeff, do you see a changing of the guard in Oakland's backfield here?
Well, I think that Lamont Jordan goes based on the matchup, in my opinion. I think that here's every Lamont Jordan's owner's opportunity to let him pop in this game and then sell high, because one thing he's good at is receiving as well as running. He's good at the all-purpose yards. So although I do think that Chichi Rodriguez will have a much better game and a better stat line, I do think that Lamont Jordan will produce well, and then you can trade him possibly for Chihuahua.
Or Achidi Chani Chandu.
Yeah, there you go.
The final matchup we're breaking down on this show, Testosterone Fantasy Sports, is the Monday Nighter. It's kind of the forgotten game. Baltimore traveling to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers, who definitely have their game face on in this game. This is a statement game for them, in my opinion. If they beat Baltimore here, this division is really theirs for the taking.
Yeah, I like the way that Pittsburgh has played so far this year, even though they lost to Denver. Look for them to have a solid matchup. Play Willie Parker, play Hines Ward, who's suddenly resurgent, Santonio Holmes. I would start them all, including Heath Miller and Ben Roethlisberger. I like the way that they're going to play at home.
At 5-2, the Pittsburgh Steelers are in the first place in their division, and the Baltimore Ravens 1 game behind, so that makes this somewhat like a must-win game. The Steelers, you know that they want to stay in the driver's seat in the division. I think they're going to be up big. It's great for them that they're at home. And as far as the Ravens offense goes, I don't like Willis McGahee on the road here. He seems to be much better at home. And Mike Tomlin's really got this defense doing what they want him to do. Troy Polamalu is leading the way for this team. And although I don't think that his stats have really been showing what he's been doing, teams don't go toward his side. He's still the leader of the defense. So I like them. And surprise, surprise, Derek Mason, number 2 in the league at receptions, in a point-per-reception league. He makes a great play week in and week out because Cat's always catching the ball 6 or 7 times.
Well, we hope you have enjoyed this action-packed hour, Testosterone Fantasy Sports. It's time to sign off, but don't forget to check out our Fat Chat on our website, testosteronesports.com, coming right up after the show. We thank you for joining in, because if you want to win,
you must tune in
to Testosterone Fantasy Sports.